Imagine standing on the bank of a river in a foreign land. You are a prisoner of war. Your nation has been crushed. Your temple has been desecrated, and the God you served seems impossibly far away. Then, without warning, the sky splits open. A storm rolls in from the north. Lightning rips through the clouds, and out of the fire, something appears. Something that should not exist. Something that no human eye was ever meant to see. This is the moment that broke the prophet Ezekiel. This is the vision that made him collapse face down on the dirt for 7 full days, unable to speak, unable to eat, unable to comprehend what his eyes had just witnessed. Tonight, we are going to walk into that vision together. We are going to stand beside Ezekiel by the river Chebar. We are going to look up at the same impossible sky, and we are going to discover what the prophet really saw in heaven, the truth about the living creatures, the wheels within wheels, and the figure on the throne whose appearance shattered every category the human mind can hold. Before we step into the storm, do me one small favor. If you love stories like this, stories that take the Bible seriously and pull back the curtain on the mysteries most people skip past, then hit that subscribe button right now. Tap the bell so you never miss an upload. And if you really want to support this channel and go even deeper, consider becoming a member. Your support is what allows us to keep digging into the scriptures and bringing these visions to life. Now, let us begin. The year is roughly 593 before Christ. The place is Babylon, the empire that swallowed Judah whole. Among the captives dragged from Jerusalem is a young priest named Ezekiel. He is about 30 years old, the age when he would have begun serving in the temple back home. But there is no temple for him now. There is only exile. There is only the slow grind of life along the canals of a pagan empire. The river Chebar was not really a river in the way we think of one. It was a great irrigation channel that branched off from the Euphrates. The Jewish exiles had been settled along its banks in a community called Tel Aviv. They built houses there. They planted gardens. They tried to make a life out of the ruins of everything they had lost. And on one particular day, the 5th day of the 4th month, in the 5th year of the captivity, Ezekiel was walking along that river when the heavens opened. Notice the precision. Ezekiel does not say, one day, long ago. He gives you the date. He wants you to know that this was not a dream. This was not a poetic vision conjured up in the dark. This happened on a real afternoon, in a real place, to a real man who could still feel the Babylonian sun on his face. And what came next is described in some of the most carefully chosen words in the entire Bible. Because Ezekiel knew that what he was about to write would be challenged, he knew that future generations would shake their heads and say, "This cannot be." So he reached for the most precise language he could find. And even then, he had to keep saying it. The appearance of, the likeness of, as if, as though, like the gleam of, because what he saw was not of this world. It began with a wind, a great stormy wind rolling in from the north. Now, pay attention to that detail because the north was the direction Babylonian armies had marched from. The north was the symbol of judgment in the Hebrew imagination. The north was where bad things came from. So when Ezekiel saw the storm boiling out of the northern sky, his first thought would have been dread. But this was no ordinary storm. As it drew closer, he could see fire flashing inside the cloud, lightning leaping in every direction. And surrounding the whole thing was a glow like burnished bronze, a glowing amber light, the kind of color you see at the heart of a furnace when the metal is about to melt. The cloud was alive. It was moving with purpose. And inside that radiant fire, 4 figures began to emerge. They had the general shape of men. That is what Ezekiel says first. He saw the likeness of 4 living creatures, and they had something like a human form. But the moment you read past that comforting sentence, everything becomes alien. Each creature had 4 faces. Each creature had 4 wings. Their legs were straight, with no bending knees, and their feet shone like polished bronze, sparking with reflected fire. They moved without turning. They went wherever the Spirit guided them, and they went straight forward, never pivoting, never hesitating. Under their wings, on all 4 sides, they had human hands. And from the middle of the group rose a fire that moved up and down like a living thing. And out of that fire came lightning that flashed between the creatures in a continuous storm of light. Now, let us slow down, because most people read this passage and the words just blur together. Wings, faces, fire, wheels, glory. It all becomes a wash of strange imagery. But Ezekiel is not being random. Every detail is deliberate. And the first thing that demands our attention is the 4 faces. Each of the living creatures had the face of a man on the front, the face of a lion on the right side, the face of an ox on the left side, and the face of an eagle on the back. For thousands of years, scholars and mystics and ordinary believers have tried to understand what those 4 faces mean. And the most enduring interpretation is this. The man represents the highest of the creatures, the one made in the image of God himself, the bearer of reason and dignity. The lion represents the king of the wild beasts, untamed, sovereign, the symbol of royal power. The ox represents the most noble of the domestic animals, the servant, the worker, the bearer of strength and patient labor. And the eagle represents the king of the birds, the highest of all flying creatures, soaring above the world with unrivaled vision. Together, these 4 faces declare something staggering. Wherever these creatures go, all of creation goes with them. They carry the fullness of every realm, the wild, the domestic, the human, the heavenly, and they carry it all into the presence of God. Some early Christians went even further. They saw in these 4 faces a picture of the 4 Gospels. The man for Matthew, who begins with the genealogy of the Son of Man. The lion for Mark, the voice crying out in the wilderness like a roar. The ox for Luke, the gospel of sacrifice and priesthood. And the eagle for John, the gospel that soars into the heavens to behold the Word that was with God in the beginning. Whether or not you accept that interpretation, the symbolism is clear. The living creatures are not random monsters. They are a living tapestry of meaning, woven from every corner of creation, sewn together by the hand of God Himself. And then there are the wings. Each creature had 4 wings. 2 were stretched upward, touching the wings of the creature beside it, forming a kind of canopy. 2 were folded down, covering their bodies. Why cover their bodies? Because in the presence of holiness, even the holy must be hidden. Even angels veil themselves before the throne. And when they moved, their wings made a sound. Ezekiel says it was like the roar of mighty waters, like the voice of the Almighty, like the tumult of an army on the march. Imagine standing beneath that. Imagine the wind of those wings pressing down on you. Imagine the sound of an ocean rolling out of the sky, the noise of 1,000 waterfalls crashing at once. This was not a quiet vision. This was an assault on every sense. A deafening, blinding, overwhelming revelation. And just when you think the prophet has shown you the strangest thing he can possibly show you, he turns his eyes downward. And there, on the ground beside each living creature, he sees the wheels. This is where Ezekiel chapter 1 becomes legendary. This is the part that has launched 1,000 theories, from ancient mysticism to modern speculation about chariots from other worlds. But before we get carried away with what people think the wheels are, let us simply read what Ezekiel actually said. He saw a wheel on the earth beside each of the four-faced creatures. The wheels gleamed like beryl, like a shimmering yellow-green stone. And here is the part that breaks the mind. Each wheel appeared to be like a wheel within a wheel, two wheels intersecting at right angles, so that no matter which direction the chariot needed to move, north, south, east, or west, it could roll forward without ever needing to turn. The wheels could move in any direction at any time, instantly, without hesitation, without pivoting, without slowing down. And then Ezekiel says something that stops the heart. The rims of the wheels were tall and awesome, and the rims all around all four of them were full of eyes. Eyes everywhere. Eyes watching from every angle. Eyes that never closed. Eyes that took in everything in every direction simultaneously. This was not a machine. This was not just a mode of transportation. This was a living, seeing, knowing presence. And the wheels moved in perfect coordination with the living creatures. When the creatures went, the wheels went. When the creatures stood still, the wheels stood still. When the creatures rose from the earth, the wheels rose with them. Because, as Ezekiel says, the spirit of the living creatures was in the wheels. The whole apparatus was one organism, one symphony, one perfectly unified expression of the will of God moving through reality with terrifying precision. Now think about what this is saying. In the ancient world, kings rode in chariots. Earthly kings had chariots pulled by horses, driven by drivers, limited by the terrain. But this is the chariot of the King of Kings. It needs no horses because the creatures themselves are the engine. It needs no driver because it goes wherever the Spirit goes. It cannot be blocked because it moves in every direction at once. It cannot be ambushed because it sees in every direction at all times. This is the throne chariot of the God who cannot be cornered, cannot be deceived, cannot be outrun, and cannot be hidden from. The message to a defeated, exiled, hopeless people was this: your God is not stuck in a temple you can no longer visit. Your God is not confined to a city that has been burned. Your God moves. Your God sees. Your God has come all the way to Babylon to find you. For the ancient rabbis, this vision became so sacred, so dangerous, so overwhelming that they gave it a special name. They called it the Merkabah, which simply means the chariot. And they taught that this vision should never be studied alone, never be discussed in public, never be approached without years of preparation. They said that the man who stared too long into the wheels of the Merkabah risked losing his mind. They told stories of rabbis who began to expound on Ezekiel chapter 1 and were consumed by fire from heaven, or surrounded by a circle of flame that no one dared cross. Now, you can take those legends as literal history, or you can take them as poetic warnings, but either way, the message is the same. What Ezekiel saw was not a children's bedtime story. It was the throne room of the living God, breaking through the thin wall between this world and the next. And the curtain has never been drawn back quite so dramatically again. Even the Apostle Paul, centuries later, when he was caught up into the third heaven, said only that he saw things he was not permitted to speak of. But Ezekiel was permitted. Ezekiel was commanded. And the result is the chapter we are walking through together right now. Take a breath, because we are only halfway through this vision. And if you are still with me, if your jaw is somewhere near the floor, please drop a comment below telling me which part has surprised you the most so far. And if you have not yet, this is the perfect moment to hit that subscribe button. We are about to step into the throne room itself, and you do not want to miss what comes next. If you are already a member of this channel, thank you from the bottom of my heart. You make all of this possible. And if you want to join the membership, the link is right there in the description. Above the heads of the living creatures, Ezekiel saw something that he could only describe with stunned, halting language. The likeness of an expanse, gleaming like awesome crystal, stretched out over their heads above. The Hebrew word he uses is the same word found in the very first chapter of Genesis: the firmament, the dome of the sky, the transparent boundary between the earthly realm and the heavenly realm. And here it was, hovering over the creatures, shining like ice, like crystal, like nothing he had ever seen with mortal eyes. The light passing through it caught the gleam of bronze beneath, the flash of lightning around, the glow of fire within. It was a frozen sea of light, and beyond it, above it, on the other side of that crystal expanse, there was something more. A throne. Ezekiel says he saw the likeness of a throne, and it had the appearance of sapphire, deep royal blue, the color of the deep sky just before dawn, the color of the heavens themselves. And seated on the throne, high above, there was the likeness, as it were, of a human form. Now stop and feel the weight of those words. The likeness, as it were, of a human form. Ezekiel is not saying he saw God. He is not saying he saw a man. He is saying he saw something that looked like the shape of a person, but every word has to be qualified. Every line has to be softened, because no human language can carry the weight of what was actually there. From the waist up, the figure gleamed like burnished bronze, like the heart of a fire, enclosed all around. From the waist down, the figure burned with the appearance of fire, surrounded by brilliant light. And around the whole figure, there was a radiance like the appearance of a rainbow in a cloud on a rainy day. And then Ezekiel writes the line that pulls everything together. Such was the appearance of the likeness of the glory of the Lord. Notice how careful he is. He does not say this was God. He says this was the appearance of the likeness of the glory of God. 3 layers of separation, 3 layers of reverence. Because what he saw was the visible weight of God breaking through into the visible world, and even that visible weight was enough to undo a grown man. Some scholars believe that what Ezekiel saw on that throne was a pre-incarnate vision of Jesus Christ, the figure of a man surrounded by glory, enthroned above the cherubim ruling over heaven and earth. Centuries later, the Apostle John would see the very same scene from a different angle, recorded in the book of Revelation, and the descriptions match in startling detail. The throne, the rainbow, the creatures, the crystal sea, the fire, the voice like many waters. It is as if heaven has one throne room, and across the centuries the prophets have been given different windows looking into the same room. And here is the part that almost no one notices. Look again at the rainbow. Ezekiel says the radiance around the figure was like a rainbow in a cloud on a rainy day. Where in the Bible have we seen a rainbow before? Genesis chapter 9. After the flood, after the judgment, the rainbow was the sign that God remembers his covenant, the sign that wrath has a limit, the sign that mercy follows judgment. And here, surrounding the very throne of glory, that same rainbow is wrapped around the king. It is as if God is saying to Ezekiel, yes, judgment is coming. Yes, Jerusalem will fall. Yes, the things you love will be shaken. But mercy is built into the architecture of my throne. My covenant is wrapped around me like a halo. I have not forgotten my promises. I never will. And what did Ezekiel do? when he saw the rainbow figure on the sapphire throne, when his eyes finally locked onto the glory of the Lord himself, he collapsed. He fell on his face. He did not try to write it down. He did not try to take notes. He hit the dirt, and while he was lying there, his face pressed into the dust of the riverbank, he heard a voice that came down through the crystal dome and the wings and the wheels and the fire, a voice that called him by name and said, "Son of man, stand on your feet, and I will speak with you." Now, Son of Man, that is the phrase God uses for Ezekiel more than 90 times in the book, and it is loaded. It means mortal one. It means child of dust. It means you are small, and I am vast, but I am calling you anyway. I am calling you to speak. I am calling you to stand. I am calling you to carry my words to a stubborn and rebellious people. And before he could even answer, the Spirit entered him and lifted him up onto his feet. This is the moment most people miss. The vision was not given to dazzle Ezekiel. The vision was given to commission him. God did not pull back the veil of heaven for entertainment. He pulled it back to remind a broken prophet that the same God who rolls across the cosmos on a throne of sapphire was the God sending him into the streets of a pagan city with a message of judgment and hope. Why does this matter to you? Why does any of this matter 2,600 years later? Because the God of Ezekiel has not changed. The throne is still there. The wheels still turn. The creatures still cry out, "Holy, holy, holy." The eyes still watch. The fire still burns. The rainbow still surrounds the throne. And the voice still calls out to ordinary, dusty, frightened people and says, "Stand on your feet. I have a word for you. You are not forgotten. You are not abandoned. You are not stuck in your exile forever. I see you. I have come for you. And I am sending you out with a purpose. Think about it. Ezekiel was a refugee, a captive, a failure by every worldly measure. He had no temple, no city, no army, no influence. He was nothing in the eyes of Babylon. And the God of the universe rolled across the sky to find him. Not the king on the throne in the palace, not the wealthy merchant in the markets, a priest by a canal in the middle of nowhere. That should crush every lie you have ever believed about your own smallness. It should silence every voice that has told you you are too far gone, too broken, too unimportant for God to use you. Because the same God who appeared to Ezekiel by the river still appears to the forgotten ones today. He still rides on the wings of the cherubim. He still moves wherever the Spirit goes. He still sees in every direction at once. And he is still looking for prophets, witnesses, voices in this present generation who are willing to stand up and speak. And here is something worth holding on to. Ezekiel never asked for this vision. He did not climb a mountain. He did not fast for 40 days. He did not chant in a cave or perform any sacred ritual. He was just walking, just doing the ordinary work of a captive priest with no temple, and the heavens opened. That should give every one of us hope, because most of life happens at the canal. Most of life is the daily grind, the long walk along the river, the slow ache of a season that feels like nothing is changing. But God is the God who interrupts the ordinary. God is the God who tears open the sky when you least expect it. You may be walking through your own Tel Aviv right now. You may feel a million miles from the place you wanted to be. But the same wind that rolled in from the north for Ezekiel can roll into your life today. Keep your eyes open. Keep your heart soft. The vision still comes to those who are simply willing to look up. So let me leave you with this. The next time you feel like you are stuck in your own Babylon, like the world has won and your dreams are over, and God has forgotten the address where you live, remember the storm that rolled in from the north. Remember the four faces. Remember the wheels within wheels and the eyes that never blink. Remember the crystal sea, the sapphire throne, the rainbow figure clothed in fire. Remember that the God of Ezekiel is not a local deity confined to a single building. He is the God who moves. He is the God who sees. He is the God who comes, and He is coming to you right where you are, right now, in the middle of your river of exile, to remind you that He is still on the throne. Friend, if this video stirred something inside you, do not let it slip away. The Bible is full of these moments, these blazing, terrifying, beautiful glimpses of the unseen realm, and we are committed to opening them up one by one, week after week, in a way that honors the text and lights up your imagination. So if you have not subscribed yet, please subscribe right now. Hit that bell so you are notified the very second the next vision goes live. And if you want to take your support even further, click the join button beneath this video and become a member of this channel. Members get early access, exclusive content, and the deep satisfaction of knowing that you are helping bring these ancient truths to a new generation of seekers. Share this video with someone who needs to remember that God has not forgotten them. Drop a comment below and tell me what part of Ezekiel's vision hit you the hardest. And let us keep walking together through the scriptures, page by page, vision by vision, until the day we see the throne with our own eyes. Until then, may the God of the wheels within wheels, the God of the four faces, the God of the sapphire throne and the rainbow fire, watch over you, guide you, and lift you up onto your feet. Stand, Son of Man. Stand, daughter of dust. The voice is still speaking, and the chariot is still rolling. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.